Thanks for joining me. I'm going to be setting up this Telecaster guitar so that it plays like butter. I thought you might want to join me for that, maybe. So welcome. This is just going to be a bit of an impromptu video. I'm going to do all the stuff I normally do to make a guitar play really nice. And yeah, we're just going to have some fun, just a bit of a chit chat. I've not done a video in ages, and I just thought, hey, let's just have a bit of fun with this. So this is my old HOHNER TE Custom. I actually, let's loosen these up first. That's normally what I do. You can hear that. I bought this guitar, I should say actually, my very kind father, when I was just young and starting out playing guitar, he got this for me, probably about 1996 or so. So this is a really old guitar. It's a very nice guitar, really like it. It does weigh a fair amount. It's kind of around the 4 kilo mark, but it's a really nice guitar. And this is what I actually learned to play on. I think I was probably quite a lucky young chap to have this as my first guitar. Having said that, one of my mates at the time, he had a red Stratocaster, and it had a superb low action, so I kept on borrowing that off him. So I used to play this and a bit of that, and between those two, that's how I learnt really. And yeah, back in the day, goodness me, it was all about learning from books and none of this lovely YouTube business to learn from. Oh no, it was much more challenging back then. So you can actually, on this HOHNER TE Custom, which is a really nice guitar, you can actually do it. It's got side, rear stringing if you want it. You can actually do it from the front as well. So I suppose, I don't know, there's always the arguments whether you get more resonance and all that sort of stuff with putting them through the body, putting the strings through the body. I put them through the body anyway because I think it probably does sound better. I'm going to set this up with 9 gauge strings, so I think that's fairly appropriate. It's a 25.5 inch scale guitar, so I think what the hey, let's do that. So the first thing I do normally with something like this, as you can see, that the actual frets are rusted a fair amount. I mean, it's actually not been played an awful lot in the last 25 years, in all honesty, because I've been through a whole bunch of guitars and this one's ended up staying in its case, which is a bit sad. So I plan to do a bit of work on this, get it set up, see how I feel about it, and either it's staying here or it's going on, I don't know if I want to sell it. I don't know, we'll see. Right, sandpapers. So what you need for this are just some wet sanding papers. These are super fine grit. You can see it goes all the way up to 12,000. So I mean, that's basically just almost like a polishing cloth, frankly. But I tend to start off with something around, let's see, what have we got here? We can go 1500, 1800. So what you normally would do is you start off at something around about a 1500 mark, and then you just jump up in doubles. So probably 1500, something like 3200, and up to 6000, and then up to 12,000, and then you're done. So I'm going to run through that fairly quickly, just to get the job done. If you're doing this inside or what have you, I highly recommend that you just actually get a little bit of water to do it in. It actually works better anyway. It works more quickly. I should actually get one of those as well. See, this is the fret protector, fretboard protector. One of these, this is for when you get higher up the frets and you've got no space, and this is for lower down. So I tend to use that as far as I can, and then go from there. So we will just go along here, and you'll just take that layer of muck off, and it comes off quite quickly, revealing some of the little dents in there that have materialised over the edge. You can see the muck coming off. It's pretty nasty stuff. yeah, kind of a bit mucky ducky. But yeah, so yeah, I was inspired to play one of these. I mean, I went to the guitar shop, one not too far from me, in good old London town, and this was the one that stuck out for me by a country mile. It just looked so pretty, hanging up on the wall, and I just thought, well, that's a nice one. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about at that time. Thought that was knocking on the door of 25, 30 years ago. And I just thought, well, yeah, let's use that as a starting place, and then we'll go from there. And obviously I was inspired by bands like The Police, obviously Jimmy Page plays Stratocaster. I mean, you name it, all the big ones. Jeff Beck plays Telecasters, sorry. So I just thought, yeah, let's get into this and let's try. Obviously my tastes have evolved and changed over the years, but generally speaking, I tend to more go for Strats these days. Having said that, I also like Gibsons. Tellys I give less attention to, maybe. I'm not sort of, I don't know, like obviously they've got the kind of more twangy sound, I guess, but you can, I mean, the argument is you can do, you know, you can do whatever you want with these. They're very versatile guitars, which is why I feel inspired to pick this up again and just try out something a little bit. I mean, I'd call it new, but obviously it's it's a fairly old, it's an old guitar now, but it's going to be new to me again. So yeah, we'll just do this process relatively quickly, and we'll get to, I'll do a little bit of playing as well at the end, and we'll see how it all sounds and feels. I mean, that's the thing, even with the old cruddy strings, it sounded really nice. So I just thought, oh wow, okay. And I already had a bit of a muck about with the truss rod, and I find, I don't know about you, let me know in the comments, but on a lot of guitars, the truss rod can seem not all that responsive, and you often, I mean, a lot of guitars in my collection, I think, well, is this really doing very much? But then as soon as I started tweaking the truss rod in this guitar, it really made a big demonstrable difference as I turned it, and I loosened the truss rod up to give me a bit more relief, and it really made a staggering difference on this guitar. So suddenly I went from really bad sort of fret buzz to, so I'm going to try and do this quicker, to no fret buzz at all, and a good amount of relief in the neck. So yeah, it's got a really good truss rod, and I like the fact that actually, I mean, I haven't tinkered with it. It's also got an adjustment at the back here to give you that extra bit of tweakability to the guitar. So it's quite a versatile and tweakable guitar, this. And strangely enough, I was looking at values on eBay just for the hell of it earlier, and there aren't any recently sold. I think the last time I looked was about a year ago. I looked on eBay, and it had like recently sold for, I'm trying to think, it's probably about £350, £400, that kind of thing for this guitar, perhaps more. And I think, oh, mind you, actually, this you can see how big the frets are actually on here. I've managed to get nearly all the way to the end of this. I've really struggled with my Strat to get all that way. So yeah, maybe on this last one though, I'm going to switch over. Yeah, so they're relatively high value guitars actually these days. So I mean, it's worth, I mean, certainly I suppose taking into account inflation, it's probably worth about the same amount that was paid in the first place, I guess. Now those frets are looking already really nice in comparison to what they did. Look at that. Obviously it's still got some of the engraved muck on it, but it really looks quite sort of nice there. So that's 1500 done. 1800 will skip that. 2400 will skip, and we'll go straight to 3200. And again, I'm just going to blitz this. I'll probably speed this up. so next thing I tend to do is a bit of lemon oil. Now sometimes I use like a toothbrush as well to really kind of clean in on the guitar, but I don't think this really needs it. The fretboard itself is actually not all that dirty, so I think that'll be just overkill, waste of time. So this hasn't seen a drip of lemon oil in years, so I'm just going to put that in there and let it sit. And carry on with the rest. It smells good. I love the smell of the lemon oil. Love the smell of lemon oil in the morning. Oh yes, even though it's actually about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Right, the other thing that I do is to lubricate the nut. You can use graphite with a pencil. I used to do that, but then using fast fret, it ends up spreading pencil up and down the fretboard. I didn't particularly like that. So these days I tend to, this is the offcut of a high E string, and I just gently put some of that oil into the grooves. I find that works quite well. It prevents string skipping. If you're doing heavy duty bends and all that kind of thing, it just means that the whole guitar is going to play a bit more stable, and you should have hopefully less tuning issues as well doing this. Anything that can give a bit of free movement to your guitar strings is a good thing. So a bit of oil. You don't want something too thick in there. You don't want something that's going to really make a mess. This is really quite, it's not super thick oil this or anything. So it just does enough to let the strings move a bit more freely. I think you'll particularly find this is useful on something like a Gibson or an Epiphone, where you've got the G string, which is at a weird angle, and everybody complains about the G string on a Gibson and Epiphone going out. So that's the sort of thing that can really help with that. So I've been using these, they're called Orphe strings. They're actually, I got these as an experiment because obviously I've got probably like a number of people. I've got a whole bunch of guitars accumulated over the years, and so you end up needing to change a lot of strings. It can turn into a bit of a pricey exercise, especially if you like to play them all, which I do. So I thought, well, let's give these ones a go. These are the cheapest ones on Amazon. At the time I got 10 packs for, it's about 15, 16 pounds, so about the same in dollars or euros, 15. And they're actually really good. They do the job very nicely. They're really nice strings. I thought they'd be rubbish and it'd be a terrible experiment. I'd be back straight to the Darios and what have you, which I probably will do in time. You know, I like to experiment with all sorts of gear and bits and pieces. So anyway, this isn't sponsored by that. I'm just showing you what I'm using, so you've got an idea. So we are going to do this string through. Nothing too fancy, governor. Keep it straightforward, as they say. What is it? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the saying, isn't it? So that's exactly what we're going to do. Keep it simple. So I'm going to, in fact, actually, what I'll do, so this is outside of whatever you're working on. Be very careful with this. You don't want to slipping off. And string each one, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a protracted process. I don't particularly enjoy restringing anyway. I always find it takes a while to do. But old strings feel gross. So, and it really hampers your enjoyment of the instrument with old strings. So, unless you get some of the heavy duty Elixir ones, which last a lot longer, they do, but I don't know, the extra coating for me, I'm never really agreed with those strings. It never really clicked with me. I always found that they always had this kind of like kind of almost like sticky, plasticky feel to them. But each to their own. I'm sure a lot of people love them and swear by them. It's just maybe not for me. So it ends up costing me more money, I think, in constant string changes. So, right, let's have a look. So yeah, I was saying, so this is my first video in a little while, because I mean, I've been very, very careful, constantly wearing a mask, went on holiday, and hey presto, I got the dreaded bug, which has been going around everyone in the whole world. One might call it the pandemic. So I ended up with that pretty grim stuff. So this is my first video in a hell of a long time as a result of that. So I'm just gradually easing my way in back again, because this is just good fun really. And I hope you get something out of this really, because at the end of the day, guitars are good fun, and it's nice to experiment with them, isn't it? Just have a bit of a laugh and chop and change here and there. And I might chop and change. I feel like I've got an Andertons thing coming soon. I feel like I might go to Andertons and see if they might do a few trade-ins of some of my gear and get something new. They've got some cool guitars at the moment I've got my eye on. I've got a couple of PRSs. Never really thought I'd be into PRSs, but having tried them, they have, if you choose the right model, you can get a really super fat, nice neck on a PRS. And I do like a good fat neck. The wide fat tends to actually vary between models I've found. But if you can find something that's got like a pattern vintage neck, oh, bad boy. Freaking love the pattern vintage neck on a PRS. Very similar feeling to a Gibson. But actually I was trying their S2 McCarthy the other day, and that has got an absolute beast of a neck. I love it. I absolutely love the McCarthy guitars. Flipping heck. I didn't see that coming. But yeah, the McCarthy and whatchamacallit, I tried, it wasn't that long ago now. I did go to Andertons for my sins not that long ago, and they had a Gibson Les Paul Standard 50s, and they were selling that for £2,800, which, I don't know, I'd like to know what you think in the comments. Right, so to string this, what I would do is normally you've got your tuning post, and I would go 2 beyond that, like that, and that's basically where you want to get up to in here. So that's always how I've done it. Seems to basically work. I'm not going to get too particular about it. So you just do that, like you bend at the end there, and then you start twisting like I did last summer. It's still summer in the UK, although I've done a crap job of that. Right, here we go. There we are. Not super neat, but I was actually watching John Frusciante's Guitar Tech the other day, and he kind of does it. I mean, to be fair, obviously he's an expert and he knows exactly what he's doing, but it made me feel slightly better, because he, in fact, it's worth looking up as well, he strings up the guitar so that it's actually, it looks kind of messy, but it's kind of like does it on purpose in a crisscross pattern over the tuning peg, so that it's more secure, because John Frusciante is bending quite a lot, and so always finding that his strings were snapping. So in sort of doing lots of turning and doing this sort of crisscross and making it actually look kind of messy, it actually is more efficient, and he's getting less, it gets less string breaks and has less problems as a result. Yeah? So for anybody who's upset about how messy their restrings look, I say don't worry. Probably the more messy, the better. Might actually be less prone to breakages, but here you go. Right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Do this meditative, relaxing process. Oh yes. I'll probably speed you up here. Now, one thing worth pointing out is when you strum, you really need to make sure that this high string is not seated properly. So you just make sure that it goes in the groove. All of these are in the groove, happy days. You just want to make sure that they're all, otherwise it'll give you all sorts of problems later down the line.